And the Good Friday Agreement was signed, and it changed every aspect of life here in Northern Ireland. As you've said, peace is fragile. It was hard won. And I've spoken to so many people here, the older generations particularly, who say they are thankful that the days before the Good Friday Agreement are now just memories. When you speak to younger people, though, it's quite a different picture. Many of them have told me they don't even know what the Good Friday Agreement is. They haven't studied it at school. They're just looking ahead to the future. But some of them also talk about how they've learnt about that period of history. And they've told me about a program called Dairy Girls. It's a show about teenage girls living in the 90s that really captured the darkness, the light, the spirit, the fun as well of the times. And I'm delighted to say that Claire Rafferty joins me now. She is Miss Mooney in the Dairy Girls. Very good to see you, Claire. Can you explain to our viewers the sort of stories that you've heard from people about what Dairy Girls means to them?
Oh, I mean, it's amazing, like how far-reaching Dairy Girls has gone, and it means everything to people because Lisa McGee, her writing, she always writes with such precision and wit and eloquence and heart, and I just think for anyone that lived through those times as I did, and she captures everything and has somehow managed to serve it up to. In the series, especially with the final one about the agreement, and I just think to be able to conjure that up and present it to people and have it reach around the world, it's something that we're very, very proud of here in Northern Ireland, the Good Friday Agreement. So to have it brought around the world in this way, to be so accessible at this stage, is so timely, and it means everything.
Claire, I watched the episode last night, that final episode about the Good Friday Agreement. It had so many magical moments in it. But what do you want young women, particularly, who are watching that episode, to take away from it?
Oh, I mean, it's amazing what I feel Lisa was able to do with the women in the show, and it's certainly my remembrance of, we're talking about the Good Friday Agreement and how the politicians brought it together, but make no mistake, it was women on the ground, the mas in the street who were, you could hear imploring the person across the street, to vote yes, to fight for something different, something that they didn't have, and they're at the core of everything, really. And that's what I felt. Really did come across, and it was great to see, because it's something that certainly I remember as the part that the women had to play, and also just the usual thing. But people from here, this part of the world, the irreverence, the wit, and also that thing of the amount of work that was done on grassroots level, whether it be the women or our parents and our grandparents' generation. We as children, I was 16 when the agreement was signed. We were shielded a lot from that, especially, and that was shown in Dairy Girls. People just got on with their lives. You were worried about whether you're going to get to the Take That concert, which exactly was the same with me. They were the things that they wanted us to worry about when they were obviously filled with anxiety and fear themselves. And, I think what Dairy Girls did as well, it showed maybe some of the women, maybe the type of women that would stifle a sob into a tea towel away from their children, which is kind of what was happening. We weren't aware of it, and I just thought that was pitched so perfectly by Lisa.
Claire, we're just watching pictures as we speak to you as well of President Biden getting out of his armoured car at Andrews Air Force Base. He's heading across here to Belfast as well. What are your thoughts about American presidents as they come to Northern Ireland? I'm sure you've got some memories of Bill Clinton.
Yeah, I mean, like most families, I think, the vast majority of parents, in the household, it was an apolitical place, and I remember that was the same in my own house, and you didn't really engage with the bad, even or the good. You just wanted a normal kind of existence. But I do remember coming home and my mum saying, "Get your coat on, we're getting into town, Clinton's over," and it was like, I think I was 11 or 12 maybe, and it was just this, it was something you had to see, and you had to be there. And you've got to remember, people didn't congregate at that time, and we were all there together, and you could feel the emotion, you could feel the ceremony, like the you know, how it was momentous, and you kind of, I remember feeling as a 12-year-old, you know, is something going to change? And you know, me and my wee brother, like we were two, you know, 10 and 12-year-olds, always fighting and messing about. But I think there was a moment where, yes,
Claire, I'm just going to interrupt you because President Biden's about to speak. We're just going to listen in, and I'll come back to you in a moment.
Yes.
Anything you can say about his case?
Well, you know, we're making it real clear that it's totally illegal what's happening, and we declared it so. Changes the dynamic.
What's your top priority on this trip, sir?
Make sure the Irish Accords and the Windsor Agreement stay in place. Keep the peace. That's the main thing, and it looks like we're going to keep your fingers crossed.
And on Mr. Christian, sir, that you've worked. Your family coming with you for the trip?
Just two of my family members hadn't been there before.
And on the abortion pill ruling, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are it's completely out of bounds what the judge did. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
He's hoping, he says, one of his aims, President Biden just then, to keep the peace. He says his fingers are crossed. Claire, I hope you're still with me. Claire Rafferty,
Yeah.
I know you can't see them, but these are pictures of President Biden just walking up the stairs to Air Force One. He's at Andrews Air Force Base, heading here, of course. And you were just sharing your memories of Bill Clinton, saying just how charismatic he was. I've had people describe him to me since I've been here as like a rock star when he came to Northern Ireland.
Well, I think, like, I mean, of course, he was very charismatic, but I think the occasion, you know, I mean, we just felt like, okay, something's happening here, you know, and Clinton's over, you know, like that something must be afoot, and you know, it really was the start and of everything, and it's like there are moments that are, you know, punctuated memories of my childhood. That's one of them, and I think it was right that it was also depicted in Dairy Girls, because it really does have people do remember it as the beginning of something, and you know, it was, you know, and it really was.
When I've been speaking to some young people on the streets of Belfast, Claire, I went to a walk last night, and I was asking an array of people what they thought about the Good Friday Agreement on this anniversary. Young people often said to me, I don't know what it is and I don't really care. What would you say to them about not only watch the episode, obviously, of Dairy Girls, but just how significant it was and what they have to be grateful for?
Look, I mean, I'm not here to, you know, I think, like, if you want to go back to the Dairy Girls episode, that quote from Granda Joe, you know, saying about is you know, a ghost story that, you know, people may not even believe. Maybe that's the aim. You know, it's not that people should be responsible with what the Good Friday Agreement brought, but to forget about, to be able to move so far away from the really bad times. You know, I said last week, if you remember 26 or 27 years ago, you remember a completely different life. And in some ways, it's a gift to know that young people do have this feeling that they don't have those memories. But it's up to us. I mean, we were given the gift, of, you know, by ourselves, of peace. I was 16, and it's our responsibility. I think everybody feels a responsibility that what we got from, you know, how my life changed immediately and for the better. I want that for the generations to come. You know, they deserve that as well, and it is under threat, and it isn't. It's very, very fragile. But there's enough good people here. That's the people are the best thing about this place. People are going to make sure that it doesn't happen again, because there's enough of us that remember. You know.
I can certainly back you on that, Claire. The people here have been wonderful so far that I have met, and it has been great to talk to you as well. Thank you very much for joining us with your thoughts as we see President Biden there boarding the plane on his way to Belfast. And just reflecting on that, when I talk to young people, I also met their parents on occasion as well. And as Claire was saying, a lot of them are actually grateful that their children don't remember that time, have grown up without any of the violence that they experience, and actually talk about the education in schools and how important potentially that is in teaching children about their history too. Well, with me here is Caroline Feeney, who was a former intern in the office of the then